So it's the second half, and BYU starting to move the ball. And I want to highlight a run by Miles Davis, just showing his speed, as well as how a little bit of misdirection can help your speed back get to the outside. Davis is going to come from the left side of the field, and he's going to go all the way on a run to the right side. Utah State's front defensive linemen, as well as linebackers, get themselves out of position because as you watch this play unfold, you're going to see that BYU's offensive line and tight end, they're all doing a zone blocking scheme this direction. And Utah State feeling the pressure, they're going to counter by having their players each move in this direction in general. And this helps break Miles Davis, who then gets outside fast enough. He's able to outrun this player, because they took a couple steps the wrong way first. And that was not necessarily blocks by the offensive line, but it was their movement that caught those players out of position. So now BYU has the advantage in that they got one, two, and a third wide receiver down towards the edge, all able to block for Davis as he runs down the field, and he gets I believe it's about 15, 16 yards. Just a great play showing off his speed, vision, athleticism, and BYU came out in the second half just really ready to play, and I loved it. So BYU's offensive line is able to get a pretty good push. First off, they're able to block off both of these linemen and get them enough out of the way that they're able to impact the play. And in addition to it, Utah State's down linemen here, plus their middle linebackers, are met head on and pushed back to the point that Miles Davis is able to run up the hole, which is wide open, and get plenty of yardage. If you look there, Miles Davis was about 6 yards downfield and was able to run through a pretty open hole to get those first 5 yards before he had any contact. Well done again by Miles with his vision and his speed, but I feel like the offensive line was helping him out here. On this play, BYU's offensive coordinator put together a play that really threw off Utah State's rush at the quarterback and was able to give him some free time to look downfield. You got 5 offensive linemen plus a tight end that all push over to the left a little bit as if it's about to be a zone blocking scheme, and Miles Davis would get the handoff, and in theory he could then run to the left side that's open. And this kind of gets a Utah State overcommit to that side of the field, but it ends up being that they fake the handoff and Miles Davis comes over here and helps blocking. And this gives the BYU wide receivers time to get down the field and get open. And as soon as Jaren throws a back shoulder pass, it's almost always going to get caught. It was a good play by BYU because I do think they stalled any chance of Utah State's pass rush going straight at Jaren Hall, as it looked like they were thinking run. Well called play by offensive coordinator Aaron Roderick. So on this play, BYU's going for an onside kick, which is always a gutsy call, and as you see it play out, BYU kicks the ball directly in the air, and on the onside kick, you need the ball to go 10 yards, and you want to be the one to first recover it. If you hit the ball directly in the air, or if you hit the ball so it only hits the ground once and pops immediately into the air in front of the tee, as if it was just a pop into the air, the receiving team, which is Utah State, has the ability to go and field the kick as if it was like a punt. They can fair catch it or they can catch it without interference. That interference no longer takes place as soon as this ball right here hits the ground again. But since it's up in the air, the Utah State player gets unimpeded ability to catch the ball, and in this case, the Utah State player catches it. The other thing most people know is the ball has to go 10 yards down. In this case, it looks like it went 15 yards, so that's not an issue. But overall, this onside kick just didn't have any chance of success as soon as it left the tee. My thought process on this is I think the Utah State players were or the hope was the Utah State players would immediately after the kickoff retreat back to their own end zone and leave this portion of the field right here completely open, and then a BYU player would just catch the kick, BYU ball. So on this play, it's 3rd down and 1 in the red zone, and Utah State's going to go back to their bread and butter. Cooper Legas is going to get the ball, fake a handoff to the running back here, but he's going to come over here and help with the block. One person I want to highlight here is the right tackle is going to go for the block on John Nelson, but the BYU player sees that he's getting single teamed, and he goes just to his outside shoulder, swims around him, and then he's able to get to the quarterback before the rest of the block's even set up. And I love this play because now getting a sack back here, you're taking the offense from 3rd and 1 to 4th and 4. Their hopes of getting a touchdown, tying the game, have basically been curtailed, and now Utah State ends up settling for a field goal. So this play serves 2 purposes. Number 1, it shows that even with Cody Epps' plays, which he had so many great plays, oftentimes I don't have the film in the footage to show how well he did because most of the play is hidden. But in this one, I really like to highlight his catch and ability to get yards after the play. Cody Epps gets the catch about 6 yards downfield, and he can take advantage of the soft cushion that he has below. He knows most of the help is going to be coming from the inside towards the out. So with his juke move, his goal is to get outside the corner here. So what he does is he puts the ball in his right hand, and he's going to do a juke but come this way, as well as stiff arm the defender and get past him for a good gain. While that is a great play by Cody Epps, I also just want to point out, typically the wide receiver is going to want to get towards the outside, so as a defender, it's okay to play with a little bit more leverage on the outside when you know you got more help coming from the inside over. So on this play, I just want to highlight the aggressive defensive stance that Utah State's been going with. If you look at them, they got a lot of people right here at the line, a lot of people ready to get up and try to frustrate the running game or get a sack on Jaren. And what this leads to is the corner and the safety, I believe, are playing 5 and 6 yards off. And this lets BYU set up with Epps, is only going to go about a yard down towards the line of scrimmage, but he's not going to pass the line of scrimmage because that lets Keanu Hill in front of him come up, and he's going to screen the corner and keep him from getting downhill to where Cody Epps is going to catch the ball. So not only does Cody Epps catch the ball with no one around him, but he already has a blocker in place, and it just gives him an ability to go out there and make a play. So you look at this point, the Epps has kind of 2 choices. He can try to go inside and juke around the safety, or he can try to, with the help of the blocker, maybe go to the outside. I think he took the better choice. He goes inside here, and he cuts back against where the safety had already overcommitted to the outside. Well done by Cody Epps in catching the ball, vision downfield, and seeing where the easiest lane is to get a touchdown. Hey there, Cougar fans. I want to do a quick rewind to the BYU Baylor game, and no, it's not to show off how much better clarity the 4K cameras got, but instead focus on the 2 different convoy plays that happened so far this season at BYU. This first play, you're going to have Jaren gets the ball, and he's going to throw backwards to Chase Roberts, and this is necessary because you can only have 1 forward pass per play. And then when Chase Roberts gets it, he briefly looks downfield and sees that the wide receivers that went downfield are covered, and then he throws it back to Jaren over here as a forward pass, but still behind the line of scrimmage. Since Jaren Hall's behind the line of scrimmage, these offensive linemen come over here and they set up a convoy, but they actually don't go too deep, so I guess technically Jaren could have been ahead of the line of scrimmage. And from there, you look at the Baylor players, and they've all bit hard onto the run play or the screen play. So the linebackers and defensive linemen are all going towards the ball carrier, Chase Roberts at the time, And the safety, as well as the corners here, they're all getting back in pass protection. And then he's already in pass protection, but he is opened his hips to his right, and they're all focused that way. And that allows Jaren Hall to get the pass and then run down the field with the convoy, score a touchdown. One of the most surprising but most awesome plays of this game. And he scores. This was a well-designed, well-set-up play, and maybe Jaren Hall right here could have stalled just a bit and let his blockers set up in front of him. So I noticed a couple of differences on this convoy play. The first one I wanted to point out is here on the right side is where Keanu starts out, and he goes in motion over to the left side of the field and catches the pass over here. This I think works well because it helps change the look of the play, and so it's not as easy to read what the offense is up to. Another thing I didn't like is neither of these two receivers went all that deep, but they kind of stopped here and were ready to block in case Keanu decided to run the ball. I like having at least one of these two receivers go deep, because if no one covers them, that's an easy pass straight for the touchdown, and we don't even have to run the convoy down the other side of the field over here. As this play
in terms of pursuit
develops, you will notice that it does catch Utah State.
You're going to see here.
Right here at this moment, the pass is a little bit short and it slows Jaren Hall down, but at this point you got Utah State players. This one might get there in time, but he's already being blocked. The safety is going to have to take a really flat angle, and Jaren Hall's going to get plenty of yards, and then the other safety is already extremely far down the field, back turned towards the play, and he's at the goal line. So outside of number 11 here coming downhill, I feel like Jaren Hall has a very easy path towards the end zone and will likely get a touchdown as long as we block that one man. Unfortunately, they overrun the block, and number 11 gets
for throwback. You're going to see Jaren Hall a little bit better of a throw, and he's
down. And eventually Jaren Hall has to step out of bounds for a gain of about 5 or 6 yards. I forgot exactly. It was a great play setup. I hope BYU keeps going back to it, as it really can catch a defense off guard. That being said, I do hope the offensive line gets a little bit better blocks in, as that could have been a touchdown. So Utah State, starting out in the fourth quarter, they're going back to their bread and butter. They got 1, 2, 3, 4 wide receivers plus a running back running out to the left side. That's going to get BYU back into the same, cover 2 formation, as well as this middle linebacker is going to come out to cover the running back. So now BYU has 4 in the box against 5. One thing you will notice is right here, the Utah State offensive line, the 3 right linemen push to the left to try to push out the nose tackle as well as the defensive end on the left side, whereas the 2 players for Utah State over here are both going to pull, and their jobs are to block the defensive end here as well as the middle linebacker behind him. Luckily for BYU, John Nelson is going to have no part of it. He gets off his block and he gets right back to his mark, the quarterback, and takes him out. Coming into BYU as a walk-on, he has definitely played like a scholarship player, and I'm glad to see. I heard that he was on scholarship now, which makes me very happy. So in this play, I feel like the man of the hour is Mr. Keenan Pili here. When he runs up and takes on the center, he actually forces a double team, and that double team is what locks Falteo, I believe is who this is, free to not only wrap up the quarterback, but then as he's wrapping up the quarterback, Keenan Pili, still being double teamed, is able to be in the right position and keep the quarterback from spinning out and maybe falling forward for the first down. I'll try to slow it down when we get to the right point. So at this point, Keenan Pili is right here, and he has forced the double team as a linebacker from both of these guys. This player right here actually stopped blocking the Falteo, I think it's Falteo, who got the tackle against the quarterback, Legas here. Moving forward a bit, he's tied up and he wasn't able to fall forward because, as I was saying earlier, Pili is again in the right spot. He draws a double team, which breaks open the defensive lineman to make the tackle, and he's still in the right position to keep the quarterback from falling forward. Excellent play. One of the best defensive plays at line of scrimmage so far this game for BYU. Absolutely love it. So on this play, I want to highlight two players. You got 71 Barrington as well as Chris Brooks. And if we get into the play, right here you see 71 is initially going to be engaged with 94, and then he's going to block number 9 once 94 is mostly out of the way and can't make a play. If you could move forward a bit, 94 right here gets kind of tossed to the side, and then he comes up and makes a block on number 9 right here. And those two blocks together, plus good blocking on the right side of the field over here, as well as, not the center, one of the guards is able to come down here and block downfield. With this whole setup, Chris Brooks is able to hit it immediately and get going downhill. And Chris Brooks, I'm going to call him our diesel back. After the game against USF, he showed that he's able to break a lot of tackles, and once he's running downhill, he's explosive as can be. He keeps chugging through, breaks another tackle there, and finally brought down. Absolutely runs with power, runs with heart. Sometimes I feel like he just needs to hit the hole and make a choice and just go at it full power a little bit earlier, but overall, very talented back. Hey there, BYU fans. I decided to cut out a couple of the last plays because this video needs to end. Between the two of them, we're almost going to be pushing 45 minutes. But I did want to point out just a couple things before I go. Initially, Utah State was dominating time of possession, but by the end of the game, they only had about 3.5 minutes more than 50-50 time of possession. The overall offensive stats were more or less even. And I think the biggest difference makers was Utah State's 3 turnovers. Those 2 turnovers in the first half, one of them led to directly 7 points as it was a pick 6, and then the second one was a fumble in the red zone. If Utah State doesn't commit either of those turnovers, there's a possibility Utah State goes in up 14 points on BYU at halftime. The last thing I want to bring up is, according to the ESPN graphic, Utah State was 7-13 on third down conversions going into halftime, and now they're 6-17 in the entire game combined, as well as they went 1-2 on fourth downs. While BYU didn't really do all that much better in the second half on third down conversion, they did improve greatly in stopping Utah State. Well, that's all I got for you today. Hopefully you enjoyed all my videos, and please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, give me any pointers or things that you'd like me to see, and thank you so much for watching. Take care.